Today on Dad's on Tech, the iPad 2 confirmation, Amazon's new instant video, CBS streams to Netflix, and Google apologizes.
And we're back.
And we are back. This is Dad's on Tech, episode 1. The big Apple announcement, recorded Tuesday, March 1st, 2011. My name is Ramon B. Newis Jr., and with me I have my co-hosts, Zev Mo Green of BreakBumper.tv, and Dan Anderson, just a dad blogger, a technology enthusiast, as it were. How you doing, guys?
Great. Everything's going well.
Good. Fantastic. So we got this pretty good. So it's 9:18. The show started at 9 o'clock, but I think we did better this time than for New Media Brief, right, Zev?
Yeah, I think so.
I think for New Media Brief we were nearly an hour late, but at growing pains. So the first story, Apple. We have an announcement tomorrow on March 2nd of something big. Everyone is anticipating that something big will be the iPad 2. I'm one of those people that believe that, and I know that Zev, you have some insider information, perhaps, or maybe some information that we don't have.
Well, there was a couple of inside people that were having a few discussions that were saying that the event is going to be great. There are going to be some things announced, like, for example, MobileMe will definitely be at least partially a cloud-based for free offering. But the question really comes down to what's the deal with iPad? Because we know iPad 2 is going to be somewhat involved. And iPad is going to be involved. It was on the invitation itself. We know that for a fact, right? So,
right.
So how is it involved? And to what extent does everybody want things to be included in it? Now, some of the rumors were that it's going to have a front-facing camera and a back-facing camera. That kind of seems like the logical next, go around. More memory, perhaps a better processor, thinner, lighter, sleeker, all that good stuff. So, according to the source, they're saying, well, iPad 3 will be the one you want to dance and sing about, not necessarily iPad 2, what'll be announced. So don't get your hopes up for everything. So that's kind of been the latest breaking news on the subject. Sources have been wrong, sources have been misleading, so we don't really know, but I'm reserving judgment. We'll see what comes out of tomorrow's event. But
something good, hopefully. Dan, what do you think?
Well, I think they've had a full year to innovate on what they originally had, and I think this is their real time to shine and really come forward with some new features, innovation that are really going to set them apart from the competition. That you have so many Android tablets and other tablets just really entering the market that you certainly know that they haven't been sitting on their laurels this past year. I'm expecting, I guess I'm expecting a lot more than just an addition of a camera. That even maybe features of, there's always been the rumor of Apple adding the cloud-based music service version of iTunes. Maybe that's how it incorporates with the tablet or something there. But we'll see. I guess I'm just expecting something big from them, more so than just an iterative version of the iPad.
I totally agree with that.
I completely agree. I mean, I've heard the rumors too of this iPad 3 out coming in the works also. And I really think that I don't understand the business case of an iPad 3 coming out this year if an iPad 2 is already coming out. This is something that Apple normally does not do. They don't release two of the same products or two competing products within the same fiscal year. It's just not their cup of tea. And I really think that the iPad 2 will be a home run. It'll have the latest and greatest of everything in there, right? I mean, they're talking about dropping an NFC chip in there. They're talking about a dual core. They're talking about more memory, dual cameras, a better screen, and these are the things that they have to do every single year, right? They have to hit a home run every single year because of the massive competition that Android offers them, and not just Android proper, but we're talking about Motorola, HP, Dell, and the rest of the OEMs that are out there. I mean, these guys are pumping out tablets like crazy. And now with Android 3.0 out, and Apple just has to watch their back. They have to look over their shoulders and make sure that they're producing the best quality product possible, which is not far from what they do on a yearly basis with all their products across the board.
And when you talk about what they're doing as far as pumping out that many tablets, I think they can really benefit from that economy of scale, that they're still going to be able to add the more memory, the better features, and yet still deliver the competitive price point, where I think that's where a lot of the other tablet manufacturers are hurting right now, that they're providing tablets to the market, but yet maybe don't have the processes on the back end to be able to get it a really good price point to make it competitive, or as competitive as what Apple's doing right now.
No, that's definitely true. I also think that they're really under the gun on this release, because now you really, especially Zoom is coming out now. You got a lot of other, let's say, full disclosure, but a lot of good T-Mobile offerings coming out as far as tablets go. So they've got some wind to their wind facing them. So they've got to get some wind to their back to push them forward. And I think that if they don't do something pretty dramatic, I think if they do a faster processor, more memory, thinner design, and cameras, I think the general population will be fine with that. I think they'll view that as a step ahead. But if they don't do one of those things, like if they just come out maybe with it being sleeker, or maybe with it just having some more memory, I don't think it's going to make the impact. I think the camera is kind of the psychological barrier that most people want to get through, even though when it polls, not a lot of non-techie people poll high on having a camera. It's just one of those things that in the tech environment, we kind of see the potential for it, or we kind of have that little nitpicking thing that we want a camera of some sort. But I think that if they don't do that, if the reports are coming out correctly, that don't be excited, it's not exactly what everybody wants, I think they're going to have a bigger problem going on. Especially Steve is showing up, but he's not necessarily going to be up on stage per se, right?
With his his black turtleneck and his blue jeans and his sneakers.
Right.
No, listen. I mean, I completely agree with you. If they cannot hold back like they normally do on product and services this time around, and analysts across the board have, I believe in the U.S. alone, we will be selling about 45 million tablets for fiscal 2011, and I believe the number, if I have the number correct in my head, about 30 million will be iPads. So, the analysts are predicting that this is going to be a home run. Whatever he's coming out with tomorrow or later on this year is going to be a home run, and it has to have all that and some additional bells and whistles. And those additional bells and whistles might be an NFC chip, as well as additional services that also, cloud-based services that we all love and cherish nowadays. Having that mobile me in the cloud, having iTunes.com in the cloud, and having the ability to, and Zev, you and I discuss this constantly.
Absolutely.
There should be a family account with iTunes, and my wife and I experienced that today. She has a bunch of movies for our son on her Mac, but my son can't see them on my iPad.
Right.
There should be a family account that if the family's authorized, all that data, all that content is dumped into one family account, and we can all pool from that family account and watch whatever videos we want to watch, or listen to whatever songs we want to listen to, or just gain access to any of the iTunes.com or MobileMe resources or content that's available to us.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the kind of magic that is going to be released. I think that what they're also going to release tomorrow is a formal 4.3 release date, and maybe some special sauce with 4.3, or maybe a 5.0 preview. But I think I think that the cloud-based stuff is absolutely necessary, and we talk about this all the time. Media Center, and having that shared pool of common stuff that you're buying. The main account is buying that anyway, right? Or is authorized through to give that child the ability to buy an app or a movie or a TV, which is another subject altogether. But to be able to share those resources, and not only just share them, but manage them. Make sure that the controls are in place to be able to say, no, I don't want my son to watch this movie, but they can listen to these songs. So
just as a I know this is Dad's on Tech, so we're trying to focus the show on stuff that technology that dads will love for or appreciate for various reasons. And Zev and I are tech dads, but we always tend to come from an analyst angle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dan, you primarily being a dad on tech, I mean, how do you feel about these offerings that may or may not be coming out? I mean, what's a home run for you being a dad on tech?
I think you had a great point when you talked about being able to have basically one account, or if you have multiple iTunes accounts and getting all your content all together. That's been a challenge for me where, my wife has an iTunes account, I have my own, and we have so many different devices, whether it's a tablet or computers or the iPod. My son wants to see a movie. I know that it's on one computer, and he wants to see it now. How do I get it? How do I show it to him now? And that's been the challenge sometimes, is that how do you get it from one device, get it instantly? Your kid wants to see it right away. So I think if Apple is really able to nail that cloud service, I think that's something that Google's able to do well now, because they give it away for free, and that's their core. And now I think they're able to bring that life through these hardware devices. If Apple's able to do almost backwards, bring the cloud services to their hardware that everybody already likes, I think it's going to be a big piece. And just knowing that no matter where I'm at, if there's that, if my son wants to watch that Disney Pixar movie once again, I can pull it up right away.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
So I think that they may be a part of the whole North Carolina center approach, that cloud is going to happen of some sort.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Let's just hope that they're building a nice fat infrastructure over there.
But I mean, that's the missing.
I was gonna say, like, as a father, it's challenging for me when my son wants to watch Toy Story for the millionth time, and I have the disc at home, and it's from my Blu-ray player, and yet we're on vacation somewhere, and it would be really nice cloud-based. I just give him the device, and he could watch it in the back seat of the car, and hopefully Apple will get us there.
Agree.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I agree, and
agree.
I'm excited. I think that we will see some OS announcements. I don't know how drastic it'll go. I think that it's got to take that next evolutionary step if they're going to do the Mobile Me in the cloud, because there's a whole host of things that have to now carry over through that. Now, whether that's a new app, a new iTunes app that will allow you to see all that stuff, or the real question will be whether or not it's going to be all of your content or just the stuff that you purchased. Because if it's all your content, then there's an uploading and syncing procedure. If it's the stuff that you've already purchased, then it's just a shared content that they're just registered that you're authorized to access. So that's going to be interesting as well.
Now, Zev, do you think? I mean, I'm a huge fan of keep things simple. So, do you think we're going to see multiple offerings here? We're going to see multiple cloud offerings, such as we'll see Mobile Me in the cloud. We will see iTunes.com in the cloud, and whatever other services in the cloud. Or do you think he's going to offer just a one-stop shop? Whatever he's going to call it. Let's say he'll call it MobileMe.com, whatever he calls it. Do you think that we may see something like that?
Well, the skeptic in me tells me that it's not going to be everything. So, I mean, Apple always does it. They always give you just a little bit, but then holds back. So I don't know exactly how much they're going to end up giving in the end. I have a feeling Mobile Me will be free, and perhaps an iDisk type of thing for free, up to a certain amount.
Storage,
yeah,
right?
And then you'll pay for premium. But I think at the very least, Mobile Me will be a free service, and maybe they'll touch upon more of the iWork online, the iWork Live stuff. But
might be nice. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
But definitely iTunes should be at least accessible. I mean, they've been pushing that for a long time. I mean, you can see the podcasts up on iTunes.com. You can hear a 30-second clip, and then when you hit subscribe or whatever, then it'll launch iTunes. So they have the kind of front end ready. It's just a question of having the full stuff on the back end ready. Now, will that mean that our iPhones will finally sync over Wi-Fi? I don't know.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Well, I mean,
I think he has an aversion to Wi-Fi or something. I don't know.
What do you think, Dan? Do you have an iPhone, or are you an iPhoner? Or are you not able to say?
I don't have an iPhone. I've been using it. Well, for full disclosure, I work for T-Mobile, so I've been using a Android phone for about a year now. But yeah, at one point I had an iPhone, and yeah, I mean, you know what? The challenge I found with the iPhone was that
I think are we losing Dan altogether?
We're losing Dan, but Dan catches up. You'll watch
Dan catches up.
You'll watch this,
Okay.
and it'll like speed up, and then it'll pick up.
computer to get to my destination. And I do like that I can kind of do a little bit more over-the-air stuff with Android phone, but
Yeah, no worries. No, basically what happens is it uses iChat uses a compression algorithm. So now I can hear you. But what it does is it makes you sound like Lou Gehrig, you're like from way back. Oh, now we're full. Now we're good.
I do feel like the luckiest guy on the face of the earth. So, anyways, I mainly use an iPod. I'm sorry, I guess I could use it for English. An iPod is kind of my main thing that I'll use at Apple, and then I have my MacBook Pro. So
Yeah.
I'll connect those two, and I have probably 3 or 4 different iPods.
What are you rocking as
yeah,
far as mobile wise? You MyTouch 4G or any of the newer ones?
I use a Nexus S right now.
Oh, very
I
good.
had a Nexus 1.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Nice.
I absolutely love the phones, so they're great.
Yeah, that I happen to be a very big HTC fan. I really like HTC,
I like,
but the Nexus S is
I like
nice.
And I primarily like the
just-
Nexus S for one purpose and one purpose only, is the fact that, with the exception of it's running 3.0, but it has an NFC chip built in.
Yeah,
That's the main reason why I like it. And unfortunately, right now you really can't use NFC chip for much of anything because nobody's really utilizing the hardware, the technology yet. But at least it's there for this coming year, and so it'll be interesting to see what applications come out to start using that.
mm-hmm.
You know, the main thing I like about the phones, and the interesting part is that it didn't really matter to me what type of device I was using as long as I had some sort of YouTube app, because that's what I would use when I'm sitting in the doctor's office with my son, and I could pull up, Sesame Street clip or something like that. Your iPhone has it, the Android phones have it, and that kind of was the biggest piece for me, being able to get some video and music pretty quick.
Right, for sure.
And then as a parent, I mean, honestly, I really look at my phone as an easy way for a camera and for a video. You always have that with you, so I don't necessarily have my flip cam with me, but I can use my phone to get a quick video of my son on the swing set, and that's something else. You know, people kind of look at it as a commodity now, what type of video camera you have on your phone, but
Yeah, it really is.
resolution means a lot to me now.
No, for sure. That quick access to taking pictures and videos as a dad or a parent, but specifically as a dad, it's worth gold. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. And quick access. You know, that's one thing that kind of annoys me about the iPhone sometimes, where you want to take a picture, so you have to hit the button, open it up, do the thing, wait for it to go, and then take the picture. Whereas if you have some of the newer phones, the HTC, the Nexus S, for example, it has that dedicated button right there. So you're good to go. You hit the button, and it'll bring up the picture taking area, and then you're good to go. But yeah, but no, that's fantastic.
I'm really hoping that the video chat will pick up a little bit more, because I travel a lot for work, and I miss being able to talk to my son, and we've done a little bit over PC, and it seems to work pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love it if on mobile devices the quality overall is good. I haven't found anything works as good as PC, but being able to chat better with my son along the way would be nice too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Next on the chopping block here, I want to cover a story. You know, Dan, as a matter of fact, we all mentioned the fact that how we would love to be able to have access to all of our content pretty much at will. You know, and legal. You know, not hacking stuff, not quote unquote copying stuff from here to there, but just really having complete access to your content. And Amazon Prime Time Instant Video. So this is a story that I actually pretty much enjoy. It's Amazon's way of competing with Netflix. You know, having about 5,000 or so titles available for streaming I think it's going to cost you about $80 a year to actually gain access to this service. And it's a good move on Amazon's part. It really is. I mean, streaming movies, streaming video is fantastic. I mean, I've been using Netflix now for I don't know, maybe like 2-3 months. And I know I'm really late to use Netflix, and I absolutely love it because my son can now watch all the movies that he likes, like was it Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? He absolutely loves that movie. And whether I am on my MacBook Pro, whether I'm on a PC, whether I'm on, on my Google TV or downstairs on my Apple TV, I mean, he can watch it whenever he feels like watching it. So, and I really appreciate the fact that Amazon is also taking this road as well. But from what I understand, though, Amazon only has about 5,000 titles out right now, and a lot of the titles are very, very old titles. So I'm assuming it's only a matter of time before they start pushing out newer titles along the way. I mean, as dads, as people who enjoy consuming content from any platform, I mean, what are your thoughts on Amazon now throwing their hat into the ring?
And the more the merrier for me. I'm very happy with having that. Not only that, I'm a Prime customer, so that kind of is in my favor. Having access,
it's easy ready for you, right?
Yeah, having access to CBS now, which first of all, I have to say, I happen to think CBS is doing a fantastic job in their lineup, Charlie Sheen aside. But I think no, but I think that in general, I think their lineup is really, really a lot of fun. They've got some very good shows going on right now. But having access to the plethora of videos in their lineup, and hopefully they'll release more. I know this is a 2-year contract, right? And I think with an ability to sign up for an additional 2 years after that, who knows what's going to...
You're talking about the
CBS
Netflix
thing.
contract.
Yeah.
About,
but
right?
I'm saying, but it's...
Oh no, I was talking about the Amazon Prime Time instant video.
Yeah, but isn't that rolled in together?
The one I thought Netflix was taking care of CBS.
Oh, you're right.
And Amazon was taking care
of
my
stuff
Prime
messed
Time
up.
or Prime Instant Video.
Right. I messed up the stories. So I take that.
Okay.
So I'm reversing myself.
You're reversing
it's
yourself.
terrible.
If you want,
I think it's horrible. No, just joking. No.
No, I haven't used Amazon, but I really like Netflix's service, and I just think it's fantastic being able to watch those on-demand movies. And we recently bought a Sony Blu-ray player that had that ability to stream the Netflix movies over it, and it was like, okay, now I get what everybody's talking about. Like, when it's that easy and you're not just watching a laptop, but I can actually see it on the giant TV that I got home with my surround sound and everything and watch it on demand, that's just fantastic. So to your point about having the more the merrier with Amazon, if they have more content they can bring, that's great, because it definitely seems that everybody has their own different deals that they're doing, and until they kind of find this universal option, maybe as the consumer I need to have more options to go to so I can find that video I want to watch right away.
I agree. No, I think and to that point, I also have Netflix. So no, I'm a big Netflix fan too. No, but what I am excited about is having the ability to have to have access to all these different pieces of content. And I don't know why some of the other content providers haven't rolled on board, and NBC and ABC, why they haven't done what CBS is doing as well with Amazon, but why they're or with Netflix, with basically what I think is happening is you're going to start to see a lot more of these services like in Amazon. Now, Amazon, it's a natural evolution for Amazon, only because, first of all,
really
they have such a networked infrastructure. I mean, their S3 service, all the other offerings that they have, it just makes complete sense for them to go into the foray of streaming video. I think that more and more, since they're really pushing not just a delivery system for products, but now for services live, I think that they're going to start building a more and more of a they have a big library. I mean, 5,000, 6,000 is not small. It's smaller than others,
right.
But that they'll be pushing forward with that. I see a takeover in the future of maybe another company that has a library as well. I kind of see that coming down the pipe, but no, I think that between those two services, and we can merge these stories, between those two services of having Amazon with their streaming services being offered automatically. And of course, the next story, which I'm kind of bumping Ray over, but which is the Netflix CBS story.
Before we go into the CBS story, though, what do you think of? I know 5,000 titles is absolutely nothing to sneeze on, and kudos to Amazon for this. But how do you feel that a lot of this content, or the majority of this content, is going to be older content, mainly documentary content from the BBC, from BBS, and other British networks? Do you think that's going to hurt them in any way? I mean, especially in direct competition with Netflix?
Well, I don't. Yeah,
I think it would hurt them. I mean, I think of my personal use, and I did not use Netflix online as much until they actually started having a little bit more content. And I'm trying to remember, it was one of the cable channels. They've been pulling in some of the movies now, and it's more current titles, and that's what interests me. Some of these older ones, it's just not really relevant. I've watched older movies that I found on Netflix on demand, but it's few and far between. But I think, you look at Amazon, I think even you look at their job postings, they're hiring a lot just to staff for their network and infrastructure and their online services, to have not only public relations people, but infrastructure and things. You can tell they're really investing, and they have some big things to come. Who knows what direction, but I think that this is just the first step, and they have some good things ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just the initial offering. I don't see anybody specifically, going into a Prime account just for the ability to stream some of these movies. I don't think that it's just going to be a one-to-one type of thing. I think that it's kind of an offering that they're releasing for already Prime, for a segment of Prime users, and then as that library kind of increases, then they'll probably offer another type of service, just like Netflix did with lowering their plan to allow for streaming only and all that type of stuff. So I think that they're kind of playing the long-term strategy game. I don't think that they're doing it specifically just for that. But no, I think initially it's just kind of just a icing on the cake for a few people who just want those very select titles. I don't think there's any device that's specific to Amazon right now anyway. So if anything, it'll just
which is nice. Right. No, it's really not.
So it's just going to add another channel. Like if it was a Boxy Box or a Roku, it'll just be an additional channel that'll say Amazon now for their streaming services, and and that's basically it until they start getting more and more titles. Then they'll really focus on it as a core business model, but not yet.
Well, look what Amazon's done with the Kindle, and they started off where they offered this service where you can get a digital copy of a book, but as pretty much when every single phone comes out, it seems like I see as part of their press release or part of the announcement, and Kindle's available on the Kindle app, and they've made a point to innovate quickly and have it on pretty much every platform. And now you even see it where on their TV commercials where they're saying, start your book reading it on your Kindle, and now you can read it on your phone. And I think you're going to see that come from them later on with the movies. They're going to be quick to have some sort of app where you're able to watch it across the platform. They're not so dependent on the hardware part, but they're definitely savvy about how you can get the content no matter what device you're using.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good. That's actually a good point with the.
It really is good. Very good point. Yeah.
With the streaming content, because now they're starting to go into that market of tablets as well with their Nook, with the Color Nook, which is an Android device. So maybe they're also seeing the writing on the walls down the line for their next release, which will be a little bit more media intense. Let's say that you can both do the books, which is a big thing, but have that video library, the live streaming library, the stored video library on that tablet device, whatever the next generation Nook, let's say, will be. Whereas Barnes & Noble is pretty much straight a book. It's a book reading device.
Or absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And Amazon too is building a very nice infrastructure for themselves also, so they can support this level of streaming and this level of content, which is real good for them. In the same vein as Amazon, as Zev mixed up the stories here. Netflix and CBS. I mean, I think this is huge. I mean, for the ability of of us now to be able to get certain CBS shows to your Netflix account. Now you got Frasier, you have Cheers. I mean, two shows which I absolutely love. I mean, granted they're older shows, but I absolutely love Cheers. I absolutely love Frasier. There's a show that my wife and I completely and utterly like. What's the name of the show? Flashpoint. Absolutely love Flashpoint.
I
And
miss
Flashpoint will
Flashpoint.
also be available as well. And all of this will be available streaming for the grand total of $8, the same amount of money that we paid today. So our charges aren't going up, our monthly charges aren't going up, which is fantastic. So I really think that CBS is kind of forward thinking, saying, listen, we're not going to make a killer amount of money on this deal, but we're going to make possibly some steady revenue, some steady income. So let's just try it out. Let's just push out the older shows and see how it works out. Let's throw a few bones in there, like Flashpoint, see how that works out, and then let's go from there. I really think this is a really good move for an old guard like CBS to stop fighting the tide and say, you know what, we won't fight it anymore. But what we'll do is that we'll just allow some of the older things out first and see how that really works out for us. What do you guys think about
because
this?
it's now a subscriber-based model where they're getting more of a constant source of revenue as opposed to relying on an ad-based model that maybe is inconsistent. You don't really know what's coming. So I think it's neat to see them dipping their toe in the water, and obviously if they're successful, they'll probably offer more content. I'm a big reality TV show fan, and on CBS, I mean, I constantly watch Survivor, and so if they can offer the show
Amazing Race
on Netflix when it comes out, I'd be all over that.
Yeah, I'm a big Amazing Race fan. So
yeah, it's a cool show.
Yeah,
Very cool show.
Yeah, I love that show. Yeah, I think that again. Just a full disclosure, I'm working the board here to try to get the video angles and stuff right. So I'm all over the place. I'm like Barnes and Noble, Nook, Amazon, CBS, Amazon. Yeah, I'm all over the place. So forgive me. My train of thought is all over the place.
That's why you need a soundboard engineer working with you.
I know.
You got to get one of your kids in there.
I want to get my 6-year-old over here. He's going to play with the board. No, but basically, I think that as I was saying before, I think having the ability to finally take a CBS type of content, or ABC, NBC and ABC really haven't jumped on board. I mean, they have the Hulu Plus angle, but it's really not. It really hasn't taken off. Plus, I think they increased their prices, didn't they? Didn't they change their pricing model on Hulu Plus?
I thought they were still $10. I mean, I didn't see them upgrade their prices.
I thought that there was a change that was implemented about a month and a half ago, something like that. I don't remember when that was, but it was very quick after release. But I think that this is kind of the first shot across the bow. Not that they all are offering the same shows and they're just trying to get to market first. They're all offering different shows, like ABC shows, CBS. But I think having the key access to Netflix. Netflix has proven itself now as a good content delivery system.
Really is.
Hulu, it hasn't gotten the name recognition. It's not everywhere.
No, it's actually fallen in price.
Yeah.
It's actually $8 a month now.
Oh, they reduced the price, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm working the board. See, now I can use that as an excuse.
$7.99.
So,
Hulu Plus, more TV, more devices,
Doesn't it
only
seem like
$7.99.
Netflix is a little more prevalent? I mean, when I think of the number of like video game consoles
Everywhere.
that all have that ability, it's more prevalent than Hulu.
Yeah,
so it makes more financial sense for me part of it.
It's absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's almost on every TV that you see with an app. It's on every Blu-ray player, game console, as you said. It's on practically everything. So I think that they really have the base now. I don't know how their infrastructure is doing. I don't know, what capacity they're at currently, and what their build-out rate is, and what their future planning is. But I think because I'm sure that there's a lot involved with that too. I'm sure that these other providers are chomping at the bit to get in. But I'm curious to see if they've kind of regulated that release, only because the infrastructure required is so huge. I can only imagine how much of an infrastructure boost you need to put all the majors on your streaming service. But yeah, I think it's a great offering. I think it's the first spit into the pond, and we'll see what comes out after that.
I think it's a fantastic move. In the same vein, I mean, not part of the show notes today, but
Right.
we touched on, or Zev touched on Hulu Plus, another great resource for content. Being able to see content, whether it is on a Blu-ray player, whether it is on your iPad, your iPhone, coming to the Xbox soon. It's already on the PS3. At some given point in time, and Zev, we have discussed this before about just cutting the cord. I mean, I know we all have young kids, and it's very difficult to cut the cord with young children because they have their favorite shows they like to watch, and sometimes those favorite shows are not on Hulu Plus or not on Netflix, so you're kind of still slave to the TV. But I am relishing the day when I can turn around to my wife and say, you know what, I want to cut that $200 a month tab that I pay for TV, which we almost never watch now.
Right.
Because my son primarily watches a handful of movies and shows, all of which, or the majority of which, he can get from either Hulu Plus or DVD or through Xbox or through Netflix or some other. So I'm relishing that day. I really, really am, and I want my $200 back.
I know.
I'm being robbed.
I know Dan's really a big fan of cutting the cord as well, but
yeah, and we've been investing more in upgrading our Netflix situation, just because I'll find, like you say, your child wants to watch one movie over and over. Well, if we're down, say if you have the one disc plan, well, you're sitting there on that Toy Story disc forever. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I need to watch the latest movie, So
Yeah.
that's where I'm investing more, is getting more discs in the mail and those subscriptions.
yeah, I have a disc that literally has been sitting here for 4 months. I feel like awful about it, but it's almost like I never get around to watching it. It's terrible. But no, I also think, well, I mean, as a parent, the whole host of capabilities of having a live streaming service where at any time you could go through an entire library and say, all right, what do you want to watch? I mean, that is just phenomenal.
Huge.
And especially, by the way, the iPhone app for Netflix allows you to be able to hook in your external video source and put that out. So if you're at a hotel or if you have a TV in your car like we do, you just put that on the end, stream over 3G, and it looks great over 3G. It'll look even better over 4G. Then yeah, exactly. Then you can stream it at any time. You can go through your library at any time and stream TV shows. And we were watching Phineas and Ferb at the mall the other day. It's fantastic. The trick though will be in the future, I think, when you can start to see newer movies. I mean, that's really what you want to do. But what I do find myself doing a lot is if I've got my laptop and I'm away from the TV and I'm in the kitchen or upstairs somewhere else, I'm always going to Justin TV to find a television program. Like if I want to watch Meet the Press live and I want to blog about it, I don't have to watch television. I can just run over to Justin TV. Not legally, I don't think. I don't think it's allowed, but I find myself going more to these online streaming sources to be able to see live television, and that's where things are going to go. I mean, we're not going to have the content the way it is currently. It's going to eventually be on a semi-subscription streaming basis, right?
Well, I love on-demand basis, right? I mean,
Right.
Really, that's what it really comes down to. Right? At the end of the day, we really want to watch our TV when we feel like watching TV. We don't want to be this dictating to me, and unfortunately that's how I see it, that I have to watch this show at 8 o'clock, that show at 8:30, this show at 9 o'clock. That's why I love the DVR so much from Verizon Fios, because it allows me to watch TV when I feel like it. But unfortunately, I don't have the ability to take that same content and move it anywhere else in my house, which I would really love. I would actually pay an additional fee or a monthly fee if there was a Verizon Fios media server where I can push that content to almost anything I want. And I know I think they have it. I could be wrong. I don't want to bash Verizon Fios. I know they were or are working on a media server. And I know I can get Verizon Fios on my laptop. I know I can get Verizon Fios, I think, on another platform as well. But it's just, to me, that means a whole lot. It really, really does. Be able to just take my content and go wherever I want to go, and I can watch my content. And again, I don't want to do anything illegal. I just want to be able to sit down with my laptop, my iPhone, iPad, whatever platform I'm on, and watch whatever I want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the company or companies that bring that to the table quicker are the ones that are gonna capitalize on that additional revenue.
No,
One of the things I'm really hoping is that new releases of movies that you'll be able to, when you're speaking of on demand, just watch that instead of having to go to the theater. You could watch it at home when it's released. And just from a parent perspective, when my son was born, I remember beforehand everybody told us, "Oh, you got a child on the way, better go to the movies now. You're never going to get to go later."
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sure enough, I mean, it probably was a year and a half before we actually, you get a sitter, and it was a big production to go to the theater and see something.
right.
But there's so many movies I wanted to see, and I think that's why I rely on Netflix so much now, because it is new to me when it comes out now. I love seeing them. So a lot of these content partnerships, and like Netflix does it, where maybe the day that it's available by the disc, it's not available on Netflix. If they could have the timing down better, then that would be great. Where if it's available everywhere, and why wait until it's on Netflix versus on a disc or whatever? Why would I have to go to theater? I'd love to just watch it on my TV and pay a little bit extra for the privilege of it. I don't care.
It's true. Well, you're definitely net positive as far as if you don't have to pay for the $17 popcorn. So I think you're good as far as that goes.
Is that much it is now? $17?
Yeah, exactly. The sitter is very expensive.
With that at all.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. The last story for the day is so apparently there was a Gmail outage, and it affected 0.02% of the Gmail population. Yes, 0.02% of the Gmail population. And Zev and I have this discussion a great deal, and Zev and I talk a whole lot offline. And we always have this conversation that's focused around these free or freemium services, right? Where people literally build their businesses on these free services, whether it be a Gmail, Google Apps, Skype is a prime example of this. And when these services do go down, when they go offline for a period of time, businesses actually lose real money. And so, Zev and I are sitting back and discussing, do people who actually use these services as their business platform, should they be angry? Should they be upset because Gmail went down, because Skype went down, or because some other free service went down? Or should they really, kind of like man up or turn around and say, listen, my business is very important to me. It's a critical need that I have to have Gmail up all the time, or I have to have Skype all the time, so I will actually pay for a premium service or a pro service. Dan, your thoughts? I mean, I know where Zev stands on this.
Before in this role, I worked for an agency where I did some public relations work for Microsoft and their cloud services, and it was something that would come up every now and then where, sorry, my lights went off in here. They would have downtime with their free services where there's Hotmail or whatever. I definitely think that you get what you pay for, that you get, you pay more to make sure you have that reliability, that service level agreement, that you're going to have your services kept to a certain level. If Gmail goes down, I think what we hear more about too is that because of the broad scope of, say, these free services like Gmail, you hear about it a little bit more. It's in the press more online, that when there's an outage, because it's more visible. But I think of like a corporate environment, that these downtimes happen all the time, and they'll impact people, but it's not going to be your headline news. So maybe it gets a little more exposure than it should when Google has an issue. And I mean, I'll give them credit that overall they're pretty darn reliable. But yeah, I definitely feel if your business is reliant on this, why not pay for an extra low service or level agreement if you can afford it?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that there is with all of these services, there has to be in the startup phase, there's always they're offering free service, and it's just kind of a crapshoot. If it's up, down, whatever. When you have a Google where, they had beta on it forever, they were a multi-billion-dollar company, things were still beta. But I think when you're offering free services like this, if you should have a buy-in for uptime, right? So you get your 5 nines, 6 nines, whatever you want, but you have to pay for it. So I kind of think that I know that it'll happen on both sides of the wall, because if technology goes down on one end, it's not on purpose, and on the other side of the wall it'll go down, it's not on purpose either. But at least on the back end they can say, well, everything should be backed up, but on this other side, on the other side of the paywall, it definitely should be backed up. There should be a service level agreement. You should have some kind of ability to complain about a service, and I think that that's kind of the clear delineation. So for people who relied on Gmail as if it was their lifeblood and weren't paying for it, I mean, what are you going to do? They'll do what they can, right? But if you're
maybe
paying,
you should pay for it. You know,
right.
It's just there is Google Apps, right? There is Google Apps.
Mm-hmm.
There is the enterprise version of Google Apps where you pay, was it $50 per year per person?
Mm-hmm.
So and Google at that point guarantees you, I think it is the 5 nines. So there are, so instead of using the freemium service, then just money up and pay
right.
for the.
Or at least if you're paying for additional storage, right? If you're paying for additional storage, with
Sure.
Gmail or whatever, you should be able to opt in. Once you make that first initial foray into that pay scale, then you're now on the freemium scale. So I think that
Right.
once
I
you do
completely
that,
agree.
yeah. But other than that, you could be upset, but you can't really complain too much, right?
Yeah, I don't think you have a leg to stand on. You
do you
could
think,
be
Dan?
upset because things went south for you, but you really can't be upset with the freemium service that you're using and not paying for. So, yeah.
What do you think, Dan?
And I'd be more concerned less about the downtime, because that's going to happen whether it's a service that you're running yourself, your own server, or a free service, whatever, but more about your data protection. That I could see there would be more reason for outrage if your personal confidential business information got out there or leaked or lost.
Exactly.
As opposed to being without it for a couple hours.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. Now, that being said, also that as a basic service like email or something, maybe you should have some kind of ability to be upset if it's completely offline. Not necessarily access, but if you can't receive mail, that you're blocked. So certain services that people use, they use mail for very essential services, right? I mean, you're getting alerts on your credit, right? You're getting alerts on your home alarm system. So there are certain things that maybe you should be able, not that you should have any recourse as far as suing someone, but that you should have an ability that there is some kind of way to have that active at the same time. So some kind of buffer, but that's more of an internal setup situation, networking wise. But yeah, it's hard to make the case for being able to say it's free. I demand
I'm mad
my
as hell.
service.
I'm not going to take
Yes.
it anymore. Yeah, it's very hard to do that.
I think these companies could do a much better job of giving updates on what's happening. That a lot of times there's that black hole when service is down. Where do I go to get a status update?
Mm-hmm.
And I just have no idea. Is my email going to come back? If you're relying on business, at least there should be some sort of blog where you're getting a play-by-play exactly what their ETA of getting that thing back up and running, whether you're paying or not. I just think that, especially with the scope of like what Gmail, how many users you have, it's something we should be a lot more transparent with the on outage. I don't really look something after the action. I don't really care about the after action. How soon am I going to get my email back? And then you can fix it out back and make sure it's happening.
Right. No, I mean, and especially with Google, I think they're notorious for not giving enough information. That was the initial problem with the Nexus One, the original phone, was that it was almost like no one had support for this thing. That was kind of the big thing. They would call the service provider. The service provider would say, it's Google's phone, and then who do you call at Google? There's no phone number. You have to email some random page, and maybe you'll get a response back. Maybe you'll get a robot response. So I think that Google happens to be one of those service providers that's notorious, and basically the only reason it's down is because 500,000 people are affected, and that's half the blogosphere of certain people, and then they go on Twitter and they go crazy, and other tech bloggers are seeing that, and then they repeat the story of why it's down. But if it's a smaller service, you wouldn't necessarily know unless they made a very big effort to let that know. But yeah, I don't know. I it's kind of like going into going past a restaurant, or I'll give you another example. It's like going into Costco or Sam's Club, and they're giving you some free nachos, right? Like they always do. And then you take it and you eat it, and it's almost like saying, how dare you serve me those nachos? I'm going to talk to your manager, and I'm going to make sure that you credit me for eating nachos. It was free. It was just at the edge of the aisle. You didn't have to take it, but yeah. So. Yeah, that's where I stand.
All right, and on that note, I think we had a pretty good first show. And that made me hungry talking about nachos. So hopefully I have some nachos. I'm gonna have some nachos. So I can go downstairs and eat some. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for our first show. I think it was a good show, good topics, good conversation, and that's pretty much it. I am Ramon B. Newes Jr., Dan Anderson, and Zev Green with me. If you want to follow the show, you can always head over to breakbumper.tv. That's where we have all of our digital properties, and you can definitely take a look at this show and any other show you'd like to take a look at. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it is twitter.com/breakbumpertv. That's it, guys, and please join us next Monday for our regularly scheduled show. We did a Tuesday show because we had technical problems yesterday. But our regular show is Mondays at 9 p.m. EST. Thank you very much. And Dan, Zev, thank you so much.
Take care.
See you guys on next week.
Oh!